Stephen Knight's award-winning show Peaky Blinders starring Cillian Murphy will be made into a movie soon. Many people have made guesses about which beloved characters will die in the movie. Stephen Knight, who wrote Peaky Blinders, said that the script is coming along well and that the movie could be ready to shoot by the end of 2023. The story of the movie is set during the Second World War, and the Peaky Blinders are very involved in the war effort. Who will die in the Peaky Blinders movie? Our predictions. The Peaky Blinders movie takes place during such a violent and destructive time in history that the Peakies are sure to get into more trouble. Some of the Shelby clan members are sure to die a heartbreaking death in a way that is typical of Peaky Blinders. In the highly anticipated feature film, some of the show's remaining bad guys might get what they deserve. Peaky Blinders has never been afraid to kill off important characters, and there's no reason to think the movie will be any different. First, Arthur Shelby. Arthur Shelby has played with death the whole time the show has been on, including when he almost died in season 4 of Peaky Blinders. All through the series, Arthur has had problems with drugs and depression. He also had a tendency toward violence that often rears its ugly head, making him a likely candidate for death. Since the movie takes place during World War II, it's possible that Arthur becomes a soldier again, but it seems unlikely given his age. Most likely, Arthur will die in a fight at home, probably for the Shelby gang, or because of his problems with drugs and alcohol. In Peaky Blinders, Arthur Shelby is a character with a lot going on. Deep down, he has a good heart, and he is very loyal to his family, so much so that Peaky Blinders Arthur Shelby has trouble with it. But in his time as a Peaky Blinder, he has also done a lot of bad things. Arthur is a nice guy, but he has done many things that deserve his death. As one of Peaky Blinders' most important and deep characters, Arthur deserves a big send-off in the upcoming movie that wraps up his storyline and lets fans say goodbye. Even though it seems likely that Arthur Shelby will die in the next Peaky Blinders movie, Arthur might still have more to offer the franchise in future spin-offs. It's possible that Stephen Knight doesn't want to lose one of the best actors and characters in the show. But from a story point of view, it seems like Arthur's story is almost done. There's only so much more he can do to grow as a person. The upcoming Peaky Blinders movie seems like the perfect place to finally wrap up Arthur's story in a way that fits his character. Next, Jack Nelson. Another likely person to die in the Peaky Blinders movie is Jack Nelson, the boss of the Boston crime gang from season 6. After what they did with Tommy in season 6, Nelson and the British fascist Oswald Mosley seem like they will be important parts of the new movie. Nelson likes the and it's likely that he and Mosley will try to help fascist movements grow in Britain and or the United States. In the movie, Tommy is going to fight with these two characters, which is not likely to end well for anyone. Tommy is probably going to kill Nelson in one way or another. In Peaky Blinders, Nelson's gang is one of the most violent, and Nelson, as the leader and a particularly cruel person, has certainly earned his death. Nelson and his Boston gang have done a lot of bad things, but they don't have any good qualities like the Shelbys do. Also, the Shelbys' main enemies never seem to get what they deserve. The Peaky Blinders have found a way to kill all of their big enemies, from Luca Changretta to Billy Kimber, and it seems likely that in the next movie they will also kill Jack Nelson. One thing that could make it hard to kill Nelson, though, is that Jack Nelson was a real person who lived after World War II. It's possible that the movie won't want to change real history too much. If that's the case, Nelson could lose in some way without being killed, or he could win, and the Shelby family's history in Peaky Blinders would be over. Nelson's death in the upcoming movie seems very likely, but it's not a sure thing. Moving on, Duke Shelby. Duke, who is Tommy Shelby's estranged son, is another character who could die in the upcoming movie. Duke will be of fighting age, and like his father in the First World War, he could become a soldier in the Second World War. If that's the case, Duke might join the next group of small Heath rifles, but this time they won't be able to avoid dying. This could remind Tommy that, from his point of view, he's already living on borrowed time. The death of Duke could be a big event for Tommy that makes him want to give up something important to him. In Peaky Blinders, Tommy's new son is still young and doesn't deserve to die like some of the other characters do. Duke would not be the first character in Peaky Blinders to die for no reason, though. If he was a soldier, his death could be a reminder of how expensive war is, or it could show how much blood the Shelbys have shed in their quest for power. Duke is likely to get more involved in the dark side of the Shelby business the longer he stays. This could put him in a lot more danger between the end of season 6 and the end of the movie. Duke could be one of the Peaky Blinders characters who dies in the movie, but he could also live on for future spin-offs. Duke's story would be a great idea for a future spin-off. He could be the one to keep the gang life going after Tommy Shelby's death, or he could be a version of Tommy who never got caught up in the Shelby's violent way of life. life. Duke could also be a fun contrast to Charlie, Tommy's other son. In a spin-off, the differences in how Tommy's two sons were raised could be explored in some interesting ways. Finally, Tommy Shelby. In the movie, Tommy Shelby is likely to die for good. Tommy was sure he was going to die in season 6 until he found out that the illness that was supposed to kill him was a lie. Even though fans love Tommy, it seems like he was always meant to die for what he did. Peaky Blinders is likely to keep going with Tommy Shelby's path to redemption. However, Tommy is probably beyond redemption at this point. Even if he changes, his story seems to have to end with his death. He will probably die either fighting against the fascist movement, which would be a good way to end his life, or on his own terms, knowing that he has many times over-earned his death. Tommy is a very complicated person. He has done a lot of good things in his life, like protecting his family and taking care of his community, but he has also done too many bad things. Tommy's hands are covered with a huge amount of blood that will never come off. He may have done a lot of bad things for good reasons, but the sheer number of violent crimes he is responsible for makes him unredeemable. Tommy deserves to die. There's no doubt about that. The movie will almost certainly show how Tommy Shelby dies in one way or another. There's a chance that Tommy doesn't die on screen, but his last scene makes it clear that he did. Tommy could still make it through the whole movie alive, but his story will definitely come to an end. Tommy's end is the most likely to be death out of all the Peaky Blinders characters, and it's also the one that's coming up soonest. Some or all of the characters in this article could live through the upcoming Peaky Blinders movie, but Tommy is the most likely to die. We just have to talk about Peaky Blinders movie release date speculation, cast details, and more. There is no set date for when the Peaky Blinders movie will come out, but creator Stephen Knight has said that filming will begin in 2023. If that is true, we would guess that it will come out sometime in 2024. Knight is working on 2 different TV shows right now, so it's understandable that he's a little busy right now. But once those projects are done, it looks like his schedule will be pretty open. We're sure that we'll hear more about this soon enough. Stephen Knight told a panel at the BFI Film Festival in 2021 that the Peaky Blinders movie will be set in Birmingham and that it will probably be the end of the road for Peaky Blinders as we know it. That probably means that Tommy Shelby's journey will end the right way for good. We don't know yet how far the story goes into World War II. We would guess that the Peaky Blinders movie takes place between the 1930s and the 1940s. Based on what happened in the real world, we think that Oswald Mosley will play a big role in the Peaky Blinders movie. The tensions between him and Shelby are likely to be at the center of the story. No one has been officially added to the Peaky Blinders cast, but we would bet our lives on Cillian Murphy being there. Without Tommy Shelby, Peaky Blinders wouldn't be the same, would it? If our guesses are right and Oswald Mosley does have a role to play in the rest of the Peaky Blinders story, then Sam Claflin is likely to play the character again. It would be a waste of time to try to guess who else will join the cast. Knight told The Guardian in an interview that big stars like Brad Pitt and even Snoop Dogg had asked him to be in Peaky Blinders, so you never know who could show up next. So far, that's all we know about the Peaky Blinders movie. We'll be able to learn a lot more once the project gets going. Unfortunately, that is all we had for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, cheers!
Pay for suits. My suits are on the house. Or the house burns down. Or price. We just sell different parts of ourselves. I am just an extreme example of what a working man can achieve. I can charm dogs. Gypsy witchcraft. While I was away fighting, remember? When I learned some things, such as you strike when your enemy is weak.